Welcome to the She Speaks to Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Julia Kraft, your authentic expression mentor and public speaking coach. She Speaks to Inspire is an empowering public speaking podcast for women with public speaking fear. Unlike other podcasts on public speaking, She Speaks to Inspire not only gives you tips to be a confident communicator under pressure, but also helps you regulate your nervous system for less anxiety, learn lifestyle practices to reduce burnout and overwhelm, and reconnect with your feminine leadership presence for more authenticity and comfort in your skin. I believe it's the quiet ones, especially the quiet women, who have the most important ideas. I believe the world really does need your voice. So let's dive in. Are you afraid what your audience might be thinking of you while you're speaking? Whether it's your boss with that interesting look on his face, or the fact that you can't see anybody when you're doing a Zoom session. It's just black boxes or names. I hear women all the time tell me, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want people to think that I'm stupid. Or what's your word that you think in your mind of, I don't want them to think I'm what? This is a ruminating in your mind about what other people think of you instead of being in the present moment with your presentation, right? And it creates a lot of anxiety and nervousness and fear that makes it harder for you to feel confident and come across as confident as a communicator. Not to mention it's really uncomfortable and makes our bodies super stressed out. This spinning up in your mind about what your audience is thinking of you is a function of your inner critic, the part of you that is judging yourself and judging others. I call this the backseat driver. If you are the driver of the car and you have somebody in the back seat that is mumbling in your ear, turn right here, slow down, stop, whatever they're saying. There's an anxiety that builds in the driver, as well as the driver will start to trust themselves less because they don't feel the trust from others. So there's a second guessing that will start to happen in the driver. There's a looking for approval or permission from the backseat driver to do what you might feel is right as the driver. Now think of yourself in a meeting. You have an impulse to say something, to share something, to ask a question. Whoop, and there's that backseat driver in your own mind, the inner critic that pops in unconsciously to comment on your impulse. This is, you could call self-consciousness or self-judgment. It creates an inhibition in us and a lot of second guessing, self-doubt, and a habit of looking for permission, affirmation, and approval from the outside because we haven't built up a trust in ourselves. A lot of times this kind of inner critic is because of a moment from, you could say, childhood or earlier in your life where you have some public speaking PTSD. And if you haven't heard me say that term before, I talk about it in lots of my podcast episodes, so keep listening and you'll learn more about it. But public speaking PTSD is a moment from the past that was an imprint memory, right? An imprint moment that left you with a really negative impression of your ability to speak and express yourself, as well as the way that you're going to be received, that you don't believe you'll be received well. It's often a moment of embarrassment. Something happened and you felt embarrassed or ashamed. It can even be the fear of that happening and not getting any approval, just getting nothing back. That can be really traumatic. What's your moment? Start to think back and reflect, what were the moments for you that left an imprint memory around what it's like to be in the spotlight, moments that you took the risk to speak up, moments that you expressed your emotions. I heard a story from a client recently that when she was in school as a kid, one of her imprint moments was that, you know, how you pass the book around to different students to read one paragraph at a time in a classroom when you're young. I remember doing this with Catcher in the Rye or something. And she would count out how many paragraphs until she was going to read. And she'd read her paragraph ahead of time. So she wasn't listening to anybody else, right? She was just focused on memorizing or getting prepared for her paragraph so she could do a really good job. Then she'd read her paragraph and she'd be trying to do such a good job. And then the spotlight would just move on to the next person for the next paragraph. And there was no response. There was no affirmation. There was nothing that she got. And it left her spinning. Receiving nothing in return can also be really traumatic. As you think about these moments, I want you to zoom out and ask yourself, what is objective and subjective about these moments? What I mean by that is, were you objectively told by someone directly that you were bad at speaking, or you should do something different, or they didn't like what you said? This is an objective opinion you're getting from the outside. Whereas a subjective experience is you within yourself having thoughts about it. Now, those thoughts, those assumptions could be true about what other people are thinking, but can you see now from a bird's eye view that there's nothing substantiated about the thoughts that you're having? If you're thinking, oh, they think I'm stupid or they think I did a bad job, if nobody tells you directly they didn't think you did well or that you don't sound very smart, it's all your subjective inner world that's playing out. I'm not even getting into more interpersonal dynamics about how to give good feedback and make sure to take care of each other and communicate clearly. That's like a separate conversation. We're just talking about you within your own mind, which is often what is happening when we're speaking, is we are having a whole conversation in our own mind. And that conversation, that backseat driver, is running the show. Even if someone told you you did a great job, it would be very difficult for you to accept it and believe it, because there's so much else that is going on in your mind, so many other stories. So we want to tease apart what's objective, the actual feedback that you've gotten, and what's subjective and only in your own mind, so that you can start asking better questions and making more conscious choices. One of the best ways to overcome this pattern of worrying about what your audience thinks of you, this is a really concrete suggestion, to ask directly to someone you're talking to or to the audience as a whole, does this make sense? Are you with me on that? Are you following me? This is part of an improvisational mentality or approach to speaking. If you are really scripted, it will be very difficult to do this. An improvisational philosophy is yes and. Whatever comes my way, whatever comes up as an impulse within me, I say yes and I say and. I'm going to add something to it. I'm going to move forward with it. So if you have a desire to get some affirmation and some assurance from your audience and feel connected to them, follow that. Say yes to it and follow it. So that means you might ask, like, hey, are you with me? Does this make sense? And then people will actually say yes, and they'll nod their heads. And it's really affirming, and it's good for the audience because then they're more engaged. It's a really simple and direct technique that you can start to play with, as well as a mentality that you can start to bring to your speaking that hopefully will help you get out of your head a bit more. My whole strategy around helping women to be more calm and comfortable and confident communicators is to be better improvisers versus to be better script writers and memorizers. So if you want to learn more about this, make sure to check out my masterclass. You can go to my website at speaktoinspire.com and register for free there. As well as I want to talk about nervous system regulation as a way to help you avoid being afraid of what the audience thinks of you, right? Because nervous system regulation is calming the mind, slowing down the mind, bringing you into your body and making your body feel good in the moment. If you feel good in the moment, you're not worried about what people think of you. You're just available and open to connection. This is the state of being that I want you to get yourself into, and that requires a knowledge and understanding of nervous system regulation practices, knowing how to craft a speaker's warm-up routine. By the way, a speaker's warm-up routine has nothing to do with your content and everything to do with your state of being. Shifting your state of being through attending to your physical body, your physical voice, your mindset and your mental presence, your emotional presence and emotional state, and your energetic state. So when we attend to all these things in a speaker's warm-up routine, that's when you shift your state of being on purpose and are able to improvise more, and immediately you're out of your head, you're connected, you're engaging, you're persuasive, and you feel confident and look confident. If you want to learn more about that, I would recommend watching the masterclass like I mentioned, and then, consider the Fully Expressed program, because the only way to really learn this is through experiential exercises. And, we need time and coaching to do that. The last thing I want to share with you around how to get out of your head and stop worrying about what the audience thinks of you is a practice called 5-step grounding. Maybe you've heard about it. It's a somatic practice that gives you a very concrete, systematic way to bring yourself out of your head and into your body. I love this practice. It's so simple. 5-step grounding goes through the 5 senses. So we start with the eyes and seeing. You find 5 things in the physical space around you, not on a screen, physical 3D space that you can see. You pause on one thing, really see it, see the textures, the shadows, take a breath and land with that item, let your eyes focus, and then go to another object or item that you can see, the different kind of texture, different feel to it. You pause and breathe with that object. 5 things that you can see, and then 4 things that you can hear. You get very quiet and listen for all the little sounds. It could be white noise sound, it could be a bird outside, it could be a clock ticking, whatever it is, and you follow the sound for a moment, really settling into it. Take a breath and then move to the next sound. 3 things that you can touch. Anything around you. Find again different textures, things that will awaken your senses, and really touch them with awareness. Breathe and allow yourself to fully feel that. 2 things you can smell. That can be just simply breathing in the air through your nose and noticing the smell of wherever you are. It could be picking up your cup of tea or something nearby and taking a strong, deep whiff of it, some essential oils, something that you have around. Really taking time to be aware of smell. And then 1 thing you can taste. The simple way to do this is just to swallow and notice the taste in your own mouth at this moment. It might not be the most pleasant, and that's okay. Or you can take another sip of your tea, or you can take a sip of water, or you can have a bite of chocolate, whatever is at your fingertips, and enjoy the taste, or really pay attention to the taste. Because with all of our senses, we're just in go-go mode, doing mode, not as aware of the experience of life through our senses. And as soon as you bring yourself back to your 5 senses, you are in the present moment, no matter what, and you're out of your head. Very calming for the nervous system, helps to completely rewire your relationship to stress. This is something that you can do while you're in the middle of a speaking engagement. You can start to notice things that I see, start to notice things that I hear, start to notice the feeling of my fingertips on something. You can do this while you're speaking, but I do recommend that you practice it at a time away from your speaking at first so that you get to know how to do it and get used to it. I hope this is helpful for you as a way to begin shifting out of worry and fear about what other people are thinking of you. It is possible, and it's just a pattern that's been going on in your mind for a long time. Now you're bringing awareness to it. Awareness is always the first step to transformation, so trust the process. Keep moving forward towards your confident and comfortable voice. The world truly does need your voice. Thanks for listening. This has been She Speaks to Inspire with Julia Kraft, your authentic expression mentor and public speaking coach. I'm so glad you joined me, and I hope you got so much out of this episode. If you want to learn more about Speak to Inspire training programs and get inspired, head over to speaktoinspire.com or follow us on Instagram at She Speaks to Inspire. Never forget, the world needs your voice, and it's time for you to speak to inspire. See you on the next episode.